Hey everybody, it's Angela and I am back with another process video. And for this layout, I'm going to use the We Are Memory Keepers Inked Rose collection pack. Now I had used their Farmer's Market collection pack a couple of videos ago and I saw this on my shelf and I thought, oh, I should use this again. I've used it a couple times, but there is a lot of paper in this pack and they come in these clear plastic containers and with I think 4 sheets of every paper in there, some cardstock, there's like a sheet of stickers, but for some reason I have 2 sheets, and there's a couple of these little hang tag type things and a wooden frame. So there's not very many embellishments with these types of kits. They're very paper heavy, so usually I pull out my die cuts to just supplement the embellishments. So I pulled out a bunch of paper wishes and really that old Sizzix die, one of the very first dies I got off of eBay after I got my Sizzix machine, that sprig there, and I still use them, so I really love having on my die cuts. I use my die cuts a lot. So I also cut out some of these rolled roses or rolled flowers, and I thought I would use those. It had been a long time since I had used them, but they were a little bit too bulky, so they don't wind up making it onto this layout. You can see here I'm going to roll one of them up, and I'm a little bit concerned even when I'm starting it. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, so it was just kind of a test to see. I love using rolled flowers, but more like on the front of altered books or on altered like little drawers or frames and things like that, where it doesn't matter that it's so dimensional, but on the layout it just seemed a little bit too big, and I tried rolling it a couple different ways to see if I could make it a little bit flatter, but it just wasn't working too good. So I thought about die cutting some other flowers, and I thought, no, I'll just try to dip into my stash of paper flowers. I do have a lot of other flowers in my stash, so I thought I would go ahead and look through those and see what I could find. So I'm just kind of thinking that through, and I did start out with this piece of paper that has the ink splatters on it, and I was thinking, wow, that's great. They included a page that already has the mixed media done for me, but I actually don't wind up using it. I wind up making my own mixed media, but I go with this for a while. The flowers that I pull out, I've got some Prima ones there that are really pretty, looking for things that have the right kind of teal or burgundy. I have those Recollections flowers. The ones on the right are, I think, called a little birdie. They're called succulents. So first I look at these Recollections, and they have the right kind of pinky burgundy color, and it has the yellow center. So I'm liking that. I like it better on the screen now than I did in real life, so I don't know why I didn't go with those. I pull out these flowers, and I really like the way the teal and kind of reddish purple colors matched with that butterfly. So that's what I decided to go with at the time. And since I was going more with those teals and reds, the yellow was just kind of starting to bother me. It was just a little bit too bright for me. So that's when I decided to go ahead. I'm have my coffee here. I'm thinking it through, and I decided to just go ahead and make my own mixed media background. So I pull out a piece of the Basil cardstock, and I'm not going to put any gesso or anything on it because I'm not planning on doing a lot of mixed media, just a little bit. I also pull out my Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 crayons, which I haven't used yet, so this was great. It got me past my fear of breaking into a new product. And I pull out the colors that I think I'm going to need to kind of match the burgundy and teal. So I pull out a piece of packaging, and I'm just scribbling a few of the colors to do some color matching. Put a little bit of water on it. But it was coming up, the color I was getting was a little bit either too red or fuchsia colored. It was a little bit too neon for me. You can see it's just a little bit too purpley neon. So I'm thinking that maybe in my gelatos I would have a color that would help me match this a little bit better. So I do wind up pulling out my gelatos, but there really wasn't a better color in there. I pull out this one pink, but that didn't help. It was the black gelato that made the difference, and the Neo colors come with a black in there too. So if I would have just used that, I wouldn't have needed to even pull in the gelatos. So I'm liking this a lot better. Just that addition of the black makes it a little more burgundy colored. So I go ahead and I get that on the paper, and then I also want to pull in a little bit of that teal. So I'm going to use some of the greens and some of the blues, and again a little bit of the black just to tone the colors down. You'll have to excuse the phone. I am doing my voiceover during my lunchtime. So there, I really like that background. It did warp a little bit, so I do wind up backing this on a piece of the dark blue paper from the collection just to kind of flatten it out. And that was because I didn't use any gesso or anything on that. But I really like this. It really matches with the colors that I've got going, and it takes out the distraction of the yellow at this point. So I go ahead and I move my items over on that. And I just like the simplicity of having a little bit fewer colors on there. And then I went to the farm and did some work and stuff. So I've come back. It's a week later. And I have chosen my photo. These are a couple pictures of Emma, and they were playing with a Snapchat app on the phone. So they were just some cute pictures of her. And you know, Snapchat is probably something that won't be here, 20 years in the future. So sometimes she'll look back on this and think it's funny. And I'll have her mom do some journaling on here about, the app and stuff like that. So it just kind of holds that little memory for her. Now, I did put the one photo on the right up on foam, and the other one I'm going to glue directly down to the layout. Now I'm pulling back in some of those ferns. Those are hot off the press dies. That frond is, like I said, a really old Sizzix die. Let's see. The open work flowers, I believe, are Prima dies. I like those because it really allows you to still see the mixed media and the other colors down below them, but it does put in an extra texture. So I'm just going to put a couple little dots of that since I've got them kind of laid down where I like them. I'm just going to use my Scotch tacky glue just to hold those in place. So I'm just kind of being careful not to move them, but just kind of tack them down. I don't have to glue the whole thing, just enough to keep them in place while I get everything glued on top. So there I go. I put a little bit under that photo, a little bit on that foam. And now with the photos on there, that butterfly was looking a little bit bigger than I thought, so I do wind up going with a smaller one. I also fussy cut these roses out of one of the pattern papers from the collection. And then I go with this sticker butterfly that's just, it's pretty much the same butterfly, I think, but it's just a little bit smaller. So I like the scale of that a little bit better. I guess it's lighter than the other one was. So I go ahead and I put some foam behind that. I look at the sticker sheet and see what else is on there. There's another butterfly that's even smaller, so I thought I'd go ahead and repeat that toward the top of the layout. Now they have this word love on the sticker sheet, but I wasn't feeling that one too much. But they did have these little fronds that kind of brought in some of that darker blue that I used to frame my layout with, and that is in the butterflies, so I thought I'd go ahead and put those on there. Just kind of bring some of that darker blue through the layout. I liked this leaf there, just kind of breaking up some of that red frond. So layering it on top, it just kind of broke up some of that burgundy there. So I thought, well, what am I going to use as a title on this since I'm not going to use the love sticker? So I start going through my word thickers, and I find this one that has it's kind of a sparkly navy blue, and then also some black. And because the gold ones it was just too bright for me, so I wanted to go with something a little bit darker. So they had the word love on these black thickers, and I think about going with that, but it's a little bit small. So on the navy blue sparkle thickers, there's also this word play, and it was just a little bit larger and had a little bit more presence. So I'm putting that on a piece of wax paper, and I like that. It seems to stand out a little more, and it goes with the navy blue I've already got going. So I put it there, but then it was hard to read over the top of the other stuff. I think about putting it up there, but in the end I kind of put it over here on the left so that the L kind of goes up next to the photo, and then the rest of it goes under the photo, and it's still easily legible. So I pull out a few navy blue enamel dots and sprinkle those around, again to bring in some more of that navy blue. And then I keep going through seeing what else I can add, some little bits and pieces. I want to add some word phrase stickers, so I'm going through my collection of those, looking for anything that's teal or burgundy or white. And I pull out a bunch of them here. I found those navy ones, but they were the wrong color of blue, and the others were kind of the wrong color of red. So I like these teal ones. Those seem to match the best, and they had the right sentiments as well. And I think these are an old My Mind's Eye. Used to be you'd get these little sheets all the time, and so I still have quite a few of them left, but they're kind of losing their sticky, so I do have to put a little bit of glue behind it just to make sure it's going to stay. And I like how putting that one below the photo just kind of almost mats the photo. So everything had kind of ridden up. I mean, for some reason when I placed everything, I placed it a little bit too high on the layout. So by putting that extra frond of teal at the bottom, it really helped kind of center my photo or my layout a little more. And then I went to the thicker sheet and pulled out, they had a few little dots and this heart on the sticker sheet that also had the glittery navy blue, because the title was looking a little bit, too much by itself. It needed a few other things to kind of tie it into the layout. And then that is my finished layout, and I'll have her mom do the journaling on it, so it's in her handwriting. And yeah, I really love how it turned out. So I'm going to zoom in here for a few close-ups. And there you can see the butterfly and some of the mixed media, the enamel dots, and then one of the sparkly dots that ties in with those pretty navy blue sparkle thickers, and the word strips, and then all the die cut items. So it was really fun to be able to use my Neocolors on this and to break into the Inked Rose collection, which I hadn't used in a long time, and also use all my die cuts and stuff. So I really had a fun time with this one. If you have any questions or anything, please leave them down below, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.